Broadcasting live, this is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning and welcome to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning, Saturday, December 11th. Seth Merrow in the studio, live via Zoom. Brian Nadeau. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Seth, good morning. Good to hear from you. Everybody back home on another beautiful day down here in Fort Lauderdale. No weather issues so far at the championship meet down at Gulfstream. I was telling Brian, producer off the air, that it's rained for about 2 minutes down here, and that's it. So the weather, everything looks beautiful, and first graded stakes of the meet this afternoon, the Mr. Prospector. So looking forward to it.
Well, if you've rained 2 minutes down there, we've gotten you beat by about 50 times just on my drive in this morning. I-90 was like driving through a puddle the whole way down I-90 today. It is a miserable day here in the Capital District. So again, we look with envy. We've been enjoying your pre-race commentary and paddock commentary down at Gulfstream during the championship meet. Envious of your gig down there, certainly. But before we get into, you're going to look at Gulfstream today. I'm going to look at Aqueduct a little bit later on. But we haven't been live with each other for a week or so, and I just wanted to follow up going back to your Churchill meet, because I know as we were approaching the last few days, I'm assuming you beat the meet, right?
Yeah, I think the number 233, I believe, was the entire meet ROI at Churchill Downs. So pretty proud of that. You know how difficult it is.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you, $160 is essentially breaking even with the takeout and all that stuff. So yeah, I was pretty amped about that. Pretty proud of that. Play of the day, it's like very frustrating. Play of the day can't really get a lot of traction, but and then conversely at Gulfstream, I've been very slow, but the play of the day's been okay. So we'll figure it all out. We're just, Seth, Ron and I talk about it, even Acacia and Ashley, with this Tapeta down here. Everybody's still, I think horsemen and handicappers alike are still trying to get some traction into the Tapeta, how it's playing. It started out playing very, very slow when I was on the air throughout the summer, and now it's really tightened up and quickened up. So it's just tough to get a handle on it, but we're all kind of figuring it out together.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because the results, and I have asked that. I had Mike Welch on, and I've had Ron on, and I've talked about it over the past few weeks, especially since the championship meet, but going back to really when it got first put into use. And it seems like if you look at the results, still a little bit of a puzzle for the handicappers and the bettors. But I will note, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I have been kind of wondering about this and wondering on the air, and it played out very interestingly a couple days ago. But there was, I want to say in back-to-back races, it might have been a couple of races apart, but there was two shippers that came down from Woodbine and one on the synthetic. I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out in the remainder of the meet, because and this seemed like a pretty good barometer, but it seems like those Woodbine horses running over the synthetic up there are going to translate very nicely. Normally there aren't a lot of them. I wonder if this year there'll be a few more because of the synthetic, but I think they're going to be worth watching.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got some barns that, might not normally be here. Chris Davis, who I got to know last year in Louisiana, New Orleans, shipped here because he's an Arlington guy in the summer, and now we have the Tapeta, Bill Farinos. We all know up at Woodbine, he's got a win down here already. And obviously those are horses, as you alluded to, Seth, that are going to come down here and in theory have a little bit of an edge on some of the horses trying the Tapeta or trying to get their footing on the Tapeta. And, some of them struggle with it. We do think it kind of plays turfy, but it's not the end all be all. So I agree, Seth, and their horses to look for. Kevin Rice has got some horses as well. So yeah, it's just another kind of club to put in the handicapping bag to see how it all plays out. But I don't think it's ever a bad thing to have a foundation and have some experience over a synthetic track.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they have the three surfaces, and we'll see it play out over this championship meet where some of the turf races maybe will have to get moved. They'll now get moved, I assume, to the Tapeta, which certainly a few years ago at Keeneland, the fields got bigger when they made the move. We'll see how it plays out down at Florida, but it'll certainly, I think, play out nicely for bettors, maybe holding some field size together. So we'll certainly, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Anything else we should touch on over the past first week or so. Claiming Crown last week. That's always kind of a lot of fun. But any other thoughts first week of the championship meet?
Well, yesterday was a really key race. You could argue yesterday's optional claimer that was won by Drain the Clock in 8-3, by the way, over
He was phenomenal. He would not let the other horse go by.
Yeah, 8-3. The track was very fast yesterday. My prankster, Todd Fletcher's nice 2-year-old 9 flat earlier in the card, all out to get it done. And Drain the Clock, I say came back. He doesn't really have a layoff line of any substance. But, a soon to be minted 4-year-old for Safi looked really, really good, gutting it out. Ran really, really hard, but they went 8-3. So, you're going to see him in a much bigger spot over the winter. And he looked good. It was good to see him come back. So that's take note of that. Life is Good worked yesterday up at Palm Meadows for Palm Beach, for Todd Fletcher. And we're already talking Pegasus. And next Saturday, Seth, will be kind of Pegasus preview day with 5 stakes races. So, we dip our toe into the pool today with the Mr. Prospector, but it's all systems go next Saturday with the huge stakes schedule as we now look ahead Pegasus on January 29th. And what will be right now, knock on wood, fingers crossed and all that kind of stuff, a monumental clash between Knicks Go and Life is Good. You just couldn't make up a better race.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Fingers crossed there. All right, let's jump in Saturday at Gulfstream, the opener today on an 11 race. Yeah, an 11 race card. They'll kick off at noontime today down in South Florida. Maiden 35 claimers going 7.5 on the grass.
5417 for me. We'll give the one sheet selections. We'll have them updated once I get down there to the track. Kodiak Mamba has got solid turf runs against, maybe a little better at Woodbine, maybe similar at Woodbine, but Mark Cassidy and Ed Flick get at a very, very hot tandem down here, about 33% together. It's a race there for the taking. Charleston Strong is going to be a strong favorite for Mike May, Tyler Gaffalione. Maybe this drop is the right move for this horse, but Mike did this the other day, and the horse just didn't run at all. And I'm just leery of this horse off a pretty okay 5th against Tons Better. Now the drop, just pedally here. He's going to be a short number, and then down inside, Julius the Great should show some speed on the maiden special weight drop. He has not run long on the turf. That could be beneficial. Luis Saez had a big day on Friday with 3. So, he's doing his thing down here. Keep an eye on who he's getting on, especially for smaller barns too. We'll call it 5417 in the noon opener.
All right, we move on to race number 2 on Saturday. We are looking at bottom level claimers going the 1-turn mile.
Yeah, and Seth, I had a hell of a time coming up with a best bet today, to be completely candid. It's Dizzy Gillespie. I wanted to at least have a little bit of value, so it's 2-1 over the far. You look at the run 2 back where he was second. He ran an 8 on the sheets that day. Good second. Then he faced Tupper last time, and he went into a buzzsaw that just ran off the screen. Well, he's back with friends today. He draws well, and it's a paceless race, and he's tactical. So I like this spot for him. I also like this spot for him because you look at Divert, who just absolutely blasted similar last time. And now he's in for 62.5, 6,250. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't really know what's going on here. He does a very, very good job. He's a high percentage trader because he spots his horses accordingly. But I don't really personally think he wins off the claim fun, for 12.5, and now he's in for 6.25 off a romp. So it's not a great sign, and I would be very, very careful at a short number what you get with Divert today. Mr. Tito's is in good form of late. Draw a line through the turf race, and he's just a really, really hard-knocking veteran, and he'll make a dent here as well. But the play of the day at 7-2 on the morning line, Dizzy Gillespie, 2-1 over the 4.
Yeah, Divert is a real puzzle because it's a voided claim, a big win. They drop half the price, but that was the first off the claim, and they put money in the bank with the win, so maybe they're just spotting the horse. But the voided claim adds a real puzzle to that whole scenario. So I can't disagree at all there. All right, let's move on to race number 3 at Gulfstream. Maiden 12.5 claimers going 6.
6-8 over the 9. We'll call it Yagita Queen, who's lightly raced. Second time Lasix for Victor Barboza, Tyler Gaffalione lands here. I don't like burning money at 9-10 last time, but like I said, we go second off a long layoff. The rest of these just don't really inspire. And if nothing else, this filly's got some upside. We'll put her on top. Comicio, we'll call it, for Antonio Sano and Edgar Zayas. Antonio's having a nice meet, winning races at prices too. 0 for 6 with 6 underneath finishes. So tread a little lightly with Comicio. And then number 9, the outside, the last bullet's mine. For Joe Orsino, Edwin Gonzalez is going to get aboard, taking over for Paco Lopez. Joe's not a win early guy, so we can kind of, get past the debut where she broke slow. 3-1 that day in an 8-horse field, so they expected a little bit. She drops now. I would expect better today, even though he is just 1 for 33. Second time out, she got the tightener. She faced better. Look for a better run today, but we'll call it 6-8 over the 9 in race 3.
Interesting little maiden special weight in race number 4. These are 2-year-olds going 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, and this is the appetizer, Seth, because the real maiden special weight is race 7 that we'll get to, a race absolutely loaded with. This one, positive review for Safi is going to be a very, very short price, and he should be. A very good second at 1-2, beating just a neck on debut. It's 6 over the 8-3, by the way. I could have easily made this horse the best bet, but giving out a $3.40 winner is not doing anybody any favors. But positive review is going to be very, very tough to beat. And you have to, in the midst of Biz, who won a grade 2 at Keeneland, and she's a nice sprinter. Onward and upward for this one in a race where we'll talk about race 7 in a little bit. This does not look like a top-notch bunch. So we'll put him on top. Should be in a good spot. Dean's List for Pletcher, the firster, half to a couple that earned over $150,000. The post works here. The works seem to be pretty sharp and whisper ready. So I would think this one's the main danger of the son of Spitestown. And then down inside Felix is a firster for Ralph Nix and Gaffalione is here. There's a slew of works on display here. Inside post could be a little problematic. I would think this horse could run a little bit, but let's watch one today. I do think positive reviews in a very, very good spot. If you need a single maybe early, this could be it. We'll go 6 over the 8-3.
All right, race number 5 on Saturday. They're on the Tapeta. Conditional claimers, non-winners of 2 lifetime the condition. Again, on the Tapeta at 1 mile and a 16th.
And the Tapeta seems to be a little outside closers of late, so maybe take note of that. And Perfect Kimberly S might fit that profile, 10-6 over the 7-8 in this one. Just missed last time at the level. Wide draw isn't going to help anybody, but, she got to the Tapeta last time and ran very, very well, ran a 10 on the Thoroughgrass, which is right in the mix, if not better than anything anybody else has done in here. So she's a big threat, quiet strength. Blew the break last time against Better. So with a more alert beginning, she's going to make a dent in here. She's got tactical speed. That's a bonus. Danza Talley got to the Tapeta last time and beat Maiden Claimer. Stepping up today and facing winners. But, I say this all the time, Seth. I never think it's a bad thing to come in to a low-level claimer off a win. And then number 8, Backstretch Beauty, 1 for 14 lifetime. I don't like that, but she's another. The light bulb might have went on last time, Seth. You like that angle. I like that angle, too. Finally broke through after 13 losses. Sometimes they double up. It could happen today. 10-6 over the 7-8 in race 5.
Let's take one more before we take our break. Kicking off the Rainbow 6 this afternoon down at Gulfstream. It's race number 6, optional claimer with a non-winners of 1 other than condition, the 1-turn mile.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned it too, Seth, because the Rainbow's up to 400 now. The guarantee is 400. I believe carryover's over 2. So it's getting up there, and it's starting to the snowball's starting to roll. So you know how that works down here. It builds quickly. So take note of that. 2 over the 5-3. I'll tell you what, if you want to be aggressive and you want to get a little funky later on, you could single Princess Betty in here. I mean, she's supposed to win for Zerpa. A very, very good run off the claim. Went second at the level last time. This is not a top-notch group by any stretch of the imagination. If she runs back to that race, she's going to win. If she moves forward off that race, she's going to drub this field. Now, the layoff is a little bit of a worry. That was in August, and she hasn't run since. But it's a great sign to see her come back at the level and not in for a tag. Princess Betty's going to be very, very tough in here. Twilight underneath, has got some good numbers of late, has some decent runs at the level, not to Princess Betty's level, but for this level, she has run well behind some rousing winners. And then number 3, Elusive Molly was behind Twilight last time. She's tactical, can trip out in here. I'm not quite sure she's good enough. None of them are good enough to beat Princess Betty if she's on her day. So that's how I played it. 2 over the 5-3, Seth.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll complete our look at Gulfstream for Saturday. A little bit later on, I will shift the attention to Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the Handicapper Report on Saturday, December 11th. Seth Merrow in the studio, and we live vicariously through our friend Brian Nadeau down in Florida via Zoom, watching him in the afternoon at Gulfstream. As I say, we live vicariously because it is miserable this morning here in the Capital District. But we shift our attention down to South Florida. Race number 6 on this Saturday afternoon. Optional claimers. We just did race 6. So I during the break, I should have turned the page. I didn't, but I'll turn the page now. Race number 7 kicks off pick 5 action, late pick 5 action down at Gulfstream. These are maiden special weight in the 7th race, 2-year-olds going the 1-turn mile.
Yeah, and this is the race, Seth. This is the race that you think of at Gulfstream Park in the winter. These are 2-year-olds, soon to be 3-year-olds, and I don't know if any of them can run, but you look at the pedigrees in here, and these are horses that should be going places. 4-1 over the 10-3. Practical Way's got the experience edge for Safi, and we've seen that angle already work. Was 4th, a distant, well-beaten 4th to his stablemate AP Secret, who came back with 2nd the other day. It was an okay 2nd, but he was good that day. He was bet that day. This one was 4th. Edgar Prado replaced by Edgar Zayas. Now, this is a half to Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner, spun to run. So we've got an edge here on experience, stretching out from 7 to a mile. I'm expecting a big, much improved effort today. The 1, here comes the pedigree, okay? The 1 is a firster for Pletcher, a half to Hawkbill, who earned $4.7 million, a multiple great Group 1 winner in Europe. Also a half to Free Drop Billy, who won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity right here. So Emmanuel with Sayas aboard is supposed to be able to run. Maybe we need to watch one from the rail today. Let's see how he does. The 10, outside for Cassie, a live oak firster. Tap the speed of sound. A full to tap it to win. We know how good he was. A half to another one that earned over $340,000. This one's got big time works. And then the last of the big pedigrees is the 3, Touch Code, a Mott firster. So we're probably going to need one today by Caressing, okay, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And this is a half to West Coast. So we know West Coast. Travers, Pennsylvania Derby, 2nd in the Breeders' Cup Classic, 2nd in the Pegasus, 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Classic, $5.8 million in the bank for Baffert. This is a race, Seth, to remember the also rounds, to keep an eye on them and see where they go in the future, because there are there should be a lot of runners out of this race.
And I will say, your top pick, Practical Way, people might get a barometer on that one because finished just behind Super the Show, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and that one's going to go in that 4th race. So might get a little bit of a barometer on Practical Way through that one. 8th race this afternoon at Gulfstream. Optional claimers, non-winners are 1. 6 furlongs is the trip.
Late pick 4 here. This is my long shot play of the day. Number 5, Awesome Anne Marie, 5-7 over the 2-6. And I don't know what happened last time. She didn't run. Maybe all those good efforts kind of caught up with her. But it's much like with earlier on, I mentioned, let me get the name correct. Earlier on, I mentioned Princess Betty. Now she's off the layoff and doesn't drop. Same with Awesome Anne Marie. And I think that's a good sign because if you look back to her prior races before the dud, and the dud came in a key race, by the way, okay? So, you can be a little forgiving. If she comes back and cycles back around, she's going to have a big stay in here at a nice number. Gitana, certainly a major player for Crichton and Tyler Gaffalione off good efforts. A little distant 3rd last time, so maybe she stubbed her toe a little bit. Number 2, Rest of the Glory has been running 9s on the thoroughgraphs. That fits with this group. And then Bargainaire as well with a couple of 9s and a good run last time to be second at the level. It was in the slot, so maybe she needs to prove it on dry land. 5-7-2-6, my long shot play of the day, Awesome Anne Marie.
Moving on to race number 9 on an 11-race card. We're back on the synthetic surface. Starter Allowance Company going about a mile and a 16th.
Yeah, it's a tough race. 6-3-8-4-2. I mean, New Year has been very, very good on the Tapeta and starts, blasted 20s last time, steps up into a spot where he can't be claimed. I like that angle. Put him on top off that big, big win last time. Devoted Kitten, ran huge winning last time for Delgado, who is 5-for-14 on the Tapeta. Chantel Sutherland, his go-to rider, is here. A repeat of that last, so going to make him very, very tough to beat. Number 8, Alado, I think is lone speed in here, or at least in front. Now, that hasn't necessarily been a great angle. Antonio Sano's putting out about a 440 ROI on the Tapeta. He's about 14% with a huge ROI. So take note of that. This one probably tries to wire these. Number 4, Man on the Moon. My buddy, good buddy Joe Christopek used to own this one. He's been in pretty good form. Was a good second getting the Tapeta last time. And then number 2, Palatial Times in the mix down inside on the drop for Maker and Gaffalione. Tough race, Seth. Last pick 3 of the day. 6-3-8-4-2.
All right, let's move on to race number 10. It is the featured race, the Grade 3 Mr. Prospector, 3-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
So there is so much going on in here, Seth. Okay, Flapjack could have run yesterday in that salty optioner claimer. I saw our buddy Jack Sisterson in the paddock. I said, Jack, where are you running? He said, I'm going to run Saturday. It looks like an easier spot, doesn't it? And you look at this group, and it's fine. There's some nice horses, but, Endorsed never wins, ever. He literally doesn't have a win on his page. Dennis's Moment, what the heck are you going to get from him? You have no idea. And this is very noteworthy too, Seth. Look at Dennis's Moment. The race 2 back, the only time he's run without Lasix was a total no-show. A total no-show at Churchill Downs. Yes, he won last time, and we know how good he can be. He is impossible to trust. Wind of Change is probably your inside speed, but I went with Flapjack. Look at the race 2 back. I thought was a very, very good. He ran a 5 that day. It can play with this kind of group. He's going to get some speed to settle off of. He's proven he can run well without Lasix. 1-4 over the 5-2 at a price. Flapjack. Jack Sisterson puts the blinkers on. A little more early focus. Endorsed is fine, and he's going to be rolling late, and he's been against better for Maker off the claim. Like I said, Seth, you can't find a win on the page. He never, ever wins, and it's just tough to take a short price on that horse. I mentioned Dennis's Moment without the Lasix. I need to prove it. And listen, even on his best day, figure-wise, he's really no better than anybody else. If they let Wind of Change get loose early, he might not come back to these. But Poppy's Pride, a huge number right next door, is going to be very problematic for Wind of Change. So I'm going to try to upset this group. It's a grade 3, but it's there for the taking. Let's see if Flapjack can post a surprise.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all because, as you say, Endorsed, it looked like a clever claim for $100,000 when Endorsed came back and just missed at Churchill, but the two subsequent races, they're okay, but as you say, no wins. And yeah, Dennis's moment, it looked like, oh, Dennis's moment might be back last time. And then you get the buyer figure of 92, and it's like, I'm not sure he's back there or not. The 11th and final at Gulfstream, maiden optional claimers, they're on the turf at 8.5 furlongs.
Ooh, 5, 7, 6, 3, 11. The dart lands on Solar Tap, who's only run once on the turf. It was against Maiden Special Weights at Delaware Park, and you can't do what he did at Delaware Park and win. And that's close from the back. And the winner, ran off the screen that day, came back to win. Well, he ran pretty well to be second. I think now on the drop with some pace, and he'll be a little closer to under Saez. I think that gives him a big chance in here. Uninvited guest for Pletcher draws much, much better than he did last time. Merlin's had his chances. He's going to try the turf again. He's a wire threat, but you see what he's done. He's seven races, 4 seconds. Love in Paradise is a firster for your guy Trombo, who won the yesterday with a nice one. And then number 11, Jart Daney on the maiden special weight job for Jane Sabelli. Post is problematic here. 5, 7, 6, 3, 11 to wrap it up around 5:05 in the PM.
All right, sounds good. That takes us through the Gulfstream card. We'll take a break, come back for Aqueduct. Stay tuned.
Birdstone is it outside. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish in the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Brian and Seth with you on a Saturday. We just got through 11 at Gulfstream Park. We've got a 9-pack coming up at Aqueduct, a 12:20 first post here. Early pick 5 kicks off in the opener with a $20,000 maiden claimer, 3 and up, 6 furlongs on the main track.
For me, 7, 9, 4, and 8, I will put Mr. JT on top. Last couple of races, 50 claimers, 30 claimers. Now goes for a 20 tag. Has done that before, and the 2 races for the 20 tag were pretty good efforts. So I think that little dose of class relief is going to be beneficial this afternoon. I'll put that Dave Donk runner on top. Not with a lot of confidence. I think this is, as you would guess with a maiden 20 field, kind of a little bit of a guessing game. But that one on top. Romantic Man, I think on the numbers, this horse is a pretty cozy fit. We'll see if that 6-1 morning line holds up. Now, 2, 3, 4 starts back. Those were turf races, and the numbers were very good comparatively speaking. But I think the dirt race last time kind of validated the horses comparable on dirt. So again, at a 6-1 price, I think Romantic Man, very, very playable. Third spot, we'll go with number 4, Blame It on Brutus, Mark Hennig trainee that is lightly raced. Clearly the worst race so far has been the race 2 back on the turf, going long. However, that one is bookended by a couple of dirt sprints, and I think both of those, again, kind of comparable with this bunch. You can point to, another 1 or 2 in here at least that have similar kind of races that you could hang your hat on and have, again, a similar level of confidence, which is not much in a maiden 20 claimer. But for me, I'll tilt towards, I think, as I say, that 9 is interesting if the 6-1 holds up. But Mr. JT comes in, I think, in good form and probably finds a comfort zone class-wise. 7, 9, 4, and 8 for me in the opener.
All right, we go to the early pick 4 in race 2. It's a $25,000 state-bred claimer, 3 and up, 7 furlongs on the main. I see Javier Castellano named on both sides of the entry, and I'm sure you heard, Seth, that Javier changed gears a little bit. He's going to be coming down here to Gulfstream to ride for the winter after initially saying he would be at Aqueduct over the winter. Jose Ortiz staying up your way for the winter. John Velasquez actually riding down at Gulfstream today. He's going to head out to Santa Anita. So some bobbing and weaving and moving and jiving with some pretty 2 Hall of Fame jockeys and 1 soon to be, I would think.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I don't remember the exact date, but Castellano will ride in New York until they go into that break, which is the 19th or the 17th. Then he's down there. The interesting news on the jockey side over the past couple of weeks was John Velasquez going out to California, though. I thought that was an interesting move, and I'm assuming part of that had to be him being a little bit tied up with Baffert now. So I'm assuming, because it's just so tough for jockeys outside California, has been for years, to get into that jockey colony. But if you can go in and you have a little bit of an in already, so I think that may have played into it. Second race at Aqueduct, I have a 10-4, 3, and 5. I'll put Bad Guy on top. Rudy Rodriguez runner that makes a move that I talk about quite a bit. I love state-bred allowance into open claimers. Now this is a state-bred claimer, so it's a little bit different, but the theory is pretty much the same. And I think this one comes in off a couple of winning efforts at Finger Lakes and at Belmont, and state-bred allowance I think is going to be a cozy fit with this bunch. Bad Guy on top. True Gold, another 6-1 shot in our second slot. We'll see if that morning line holds up. I've been saying this over the past couple of days as I've done the afternoon handicapping show. On a venue move, I love horses that go from the Naira circuit to Finger Lakes. I think that's a really positive venue move. Not so much so the other way, except when we get to this time of year. You get to the winter at Aqueduct, I don't think the move from Finger Lakes down to New York is as much of a class leap, as much of a class obstacle. I think these Finger Lakes horses will be very competitive down here this winter, and so this is one of them for Charlie Baker. And in the third slot, we'll take a look at number 3, Just Right. Last seen down at Charlestown in an allowance event, got a win down there, but had been running on the New York circuit before. That's another one that I'm not too sure about, Charlestown to New York. But again, this horse has been running in New York more often than not on the page, and has been running very competitively. So it looks like they just looked in the condition book, maybe saw a shot at a purse down at Charlestown, went down, picked up the purse. They're back in New York, where the horses, as I say, run decently in the past. So for me, in the second at Aqueduct, 10-4, 3, and 5.
Race 3 looks like a good maiden special weight. 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs, some nice pedigrees, some good barns in there as well. Steve Asmussen with a firster. And Seth, I will throw it to you. I'm going to get on the road down to Gulfstream, so good luck to everybody back home playing, you as well, and we'll do it again next Saturday.
Yeah, we'll be watching you down there. As I say, it's been fun. We watched with a little envy, so enjoy the afternoon and all week long, and we'll talk to you next week.
That's good. Thanks.
In the third, I have it 7, 6, 1, and 4. I'll put Good Morning Angel on top, the aforementioned firster from Steve Asmussen. Kind of enough said there, but dialed in is an okay sire of win early types. There's a little bit of breeding top and bottom here. Steady string of workouts. None of them jump off the page necessarily, but it's enough there to think that this one may be coming out running. Sense of Excellence, interesting to me. Another firster from Asmussen by Street Sense. Paid $100,000 at the Fasig-Tipton May sale, worked 10.2 before that sale. The horse was an RNA, reserve not attained, which means, if you're not familiar with the terminology, at an auction, if you see the RNA, reserve not attained. The seller put a reserve price on the horse, and as the abbreviation indicates, that reserve was not attained when the bidding ended. So it goes back to the owner. So they then subsequently went into the Fasig sale and sold the horse. But all of that said, the horse was entered into a couple of 2-year-old sales, and in both of them worked the same 10.2 before. So had fired some nice workouts before those 2-year-old sales. So I think Sense of Excellence could be live in debut. Experience counts. The Ray Handel horse, even money on the morning line. Mischievous Diane. 2 starts, 2 good second place finishes, 2 okay numbers for this level of competition. I'll be interested to see, though, if this horse does go at even money, because, as I say, those numbers are okay. The 75 in the debut is pretty good, but then went backwards in the second start. But they aren't eye-popping numbers, so I'm just curious. You have a couple of firsters that may be interesting for Asmussen, and Orlando Noda has a firster in here. Now that one is 20-1. So I can see the horse with experience taking action, but I will be interested with particularly the 2 Asmussen runners to see if Mischievous Diane does take as much action as that even money morning line indicates. The horse is completely live off the first couple of starts, but we'll see. My 3 butterflies for George Weaver could be a little bit interesting. The 8-1 looks a little light, but did show some speed. Now then threw out the anchor, but by Golden Sense, I'd be willing to maybe give that one another look. But I would want at least that morning line 8-1. Third race at Aqueduct, 7, 6, 1, and 4. Race number 4 at Aqueduct, starter allowance, 6.5 furlongs the trip. I have it 10, 1, 7, and 11. I thought the 4 was also interesting. Hoopla. I could make the case there for the Rob Falcone runner off the claim. 10-1 on the morning line. If you get a price on the 4, I'd take an extra look maybe. But I, again, went 10, 1, 7, and 11. I put Trash Talker on top. Rob Atras off the claim. Now, the horse has to get back to this number of the last race, which has the look of an aberration. And I've said it the past couple of days during the afternoon show. We've had horses like this or in the other direction. I'm kind of always willing to kind of draw a line through one very good race or one very poor race. And I'll need a validation. We'll see if we get the validation today for Trash Talker, because that last number clearly is going to have the edge on this bunch. Now, all of that said, the races just before are okay and fit with this group, and you are moving into the Atras barn off the claim. That's perhaps a little bit of a positive, too. That said, claimed away from Linda Rice, so how much will we move this horse forward? I'll tilt, all of this indicating I'll tilt towards Trash Talker, but again, it's not with a super amount of confidence. I think there are some question marks that have to be answered. Rudy Rod off the claim for Linda Rice. We'll see here. She has one claimed away from her. She claims one also entered in the race. It's going to be fun to see how it plays out. But this one also runs a lifetime best buyer last time. That, if we get back to it, will be very, very competitive in here. So these top 2 picks are really very, very closely matched in this group as far as the scenario they have to live up to. 12th man in the 3rd spot. Had a layoff January until October. The October comeback was really good. Went off as a short price in there and wound up 2nd. Followed up, again, went off at 5-2 last time and tossed in a little bit of a dud. The dud was in this kind of starter allowance company, but the horse got off slowly. It was the 2nd start. Who knows? Maybe there was a bounce off the really good comeback effort. All that said, this is now 3rd start back off a little bit of a layoff, and the return effort was good enough to think this horse belongs in the mix. The return effort in some races down the page. So on the 3rd start back kind of an angle, we'll look for this horse to rebound back to a better effort and be very competitive in here. In the 4th at Aqueduct, 10, 1, 7, and 11. Race number 5 at Aqueduct on Saturday afternoon. It is a state-bred maiden special event for 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs. In race number 5, I have it 7, 1, 2, and 12. Can't Hurry Love on top. Christophe Clement runner. And again, the Clement barn has just been really, really on fire lately, it seems like. I will also note, if you have the past performances and you're looking at the trainer and the jockey stats and seeing nothing in there, and you're thinking, gee, they've been at Aqueduct for a while, and they still parse out. There's kind of a fall Aqueduct meet and a winter Aqueduct meet, and we are just starting this winter Aqueduct meet. I'm not quite sure why they just don't make it in the. I was going to say in the old days, in the not too distant past, they would go to the inner track, and so it kind of made sense to parse the meets out. Now I'm not quite sure. It's just a little bit of an anachronism, I think. But again, I just make the point because if you're looking at the PPs and you're seeing, gee, why aren't there any stats for the trainers and the jockeys, or very light stats given how far we are into Aqueduct at this point? That's why. But can't hurry, love. And I mentioned it because Christoph come out on my PPs, which I pointed out a couple days ago, not showing anything here. And as I say, he's been on a little bit of a roll now with his barn over the past really couple of months at least, maybe beyond. But this one comes in good form. Three second place finishes leading into this. Maybe a little bit of a bridesmaid kind of a situation that may make you shy away a little bit. But we'll see if this one can break through this afternoon. Second slot, Raymond Road. Jeremiah Engelhardt trainee has had a couple of starts so far. Clearly they had some ambition for this horse. Debuted the filly in a rich stakes race up at Finger Lakes back in September. Ran fourth in there, followed up with a fourth place finish at Belmont in an off-the-turf maiden special event. I just think dirt, meant for the dirt, 6 furlongs, experience under the belt. I think Raymond Road, very playable. And then Royal Currency for Charlie Baker off a debut effort, middle of the Saratoga meet. That was a decent little second place finish. Now has had a little time off. If this horse is ready to roll, May comes back improved. I kind of like these little, hey, I got a little experience, then a little bit of a layup. Sometimes they come back even better. In the fifth at Aqueduct, 7, 1, 2, and 12. That'll take us to a break. We will come back, take a look at the remainder of the Aqueduct card on this Saturday. Stay tuned.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the Capital Region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Just saw the commercial for the championship meet, which reminded me. I want to thank our friends down at Gulfstream for their sponsorship of this program, some of the other programming events here at Capital OTB during the championship meet. Always appreciate the sponsorship and the support from Gulfstream Park. And speaking of supporting some of the programming, they also support Racing Across America. That'll come up at the top of the hour. Top of the hour, we will be joined by our friend Nancy Holthus from Oaklawn Park. She'll kind of set up the meet for us a little bit. They got underway about a week ago, early this year. Looking forward to the first couple of months. Some 2-year-old racing down there already, which they normally don't have, typically starting after the first of the year. But we'll get some thoughts on today's card from Nancy and thoughts on the meet overall as well. But we'll also be joined by our friend Dick Powell, because tonight, keep in mind, late night, but the exclamation point always put on the Group 1 international races down in Hong Kong in December with the Hong Kong international races, 4 Group 1 stakes races, typically attracting a nice international group. It may not be as strong internationally as normal, but Aidan O'Brien does have some horses in. Bolshoi Ballet is there. I want to say Golden 60, I think, is the name of the undefeated horse that will be running in one of the races. So again, late night tonight. You can bet them early and then watch replays tomorrow. Or if you're a late night person, stay up and watch some of the Hong Kong races tonight. But we'll have Dick Paul on to give us some thoughts on those 4 nice stakes from Hong Kong. Again, later on, late night tonight. So that's all coming up 10 o'clock, top of the hour, racing across America. But now we get back into Aqueduct on Saturday afternoon with race number 6, Statebred Optional Claimer. Non-winners at 2 other than 6 furlongs is the distance for me. I have it 6:10, the 1 entry, and 8. I put Breakfast at Bonnie's on top. The Danny Gargan runner, 4 starts. Interesting career in that they're 4 well-spaced starts, January, March, July, November. So I don't know whether this horse has some issues. It would certainly seem that way, but now does essentially get to string a couple together. November 13th to today. Now we won't see a line in the PPs. 2 wins, a second, and a third in those 4 starts. Always shows some nice early speed, and given the performances so far, certainly has some talent. The numbers are good matches with this group, so we'll put Breakfast at Bonnie's on top. Fair Regis in the second spot. Again, comes in most recently from the Finger Lakes, ran 3rd up there, but has run plenty of times on the NYRA circuit, including a pretty good record down here at Aqueduct, 9 exacta finishes in 18 starts. So I think the return to Aqueduct will put this horse in the thick of things this afternoon. And in the 3rd spot, we will go to the 1 entry, Quality Stones, the plain one, and the 1A Honey Money. I will say, I used both of them because I had it down in the 3rd slot. If I had put it up in the 1st slot, I probably would have parsed out the 1A. I prefer the 1A, certainly. So, again, if the 1A should scratch down in the 3rd slot, okay, I'll use the 1. Had it been up on top again, I don't think I would want to scratch into the plain one. So I'm just parsing that out. Scratch is not out yet, but if the 1A does scratch, I'm not nearly as confident on the plain one. But Honey Money, the 1A, comes in off a close-up 3rd place finish against Similar last time in a very similar event, so I think is in good form. There are nice races down the page. Jose Ortiz on board, so again, I think Honey Money, the preferred part of the entry, and I think an absolute player in with this bunch. 6th race at Aqueduct, 6, 10, the 1 entry, and 8. Race number 7 at Aqueduct this afternoon. I have it 9, 4, 7, and 8. We're looking at plain vanilla claimers going a mile. I'll put Mexican Wonder Boy on top off the claim for Merkin Cantormachi off a good 2nd place finish last time. Showed some early speed before getting caught, but I think that bodes well for this afternoon. Let him all the way 2 starts back, albeit that was almost a year ago down at Gulfstream. So the last was a comeback effort. It was a pretty good comeback effort. You would think it would have added some fitness, claimed out of that race, comes back at the same level. I think Mexican Wonder Boy should be tough in here this afternoon. Crypto Cash, little turf to dirt move last time, ran 3rd, did it at a reduced level. So 2 starts back was at 40, last time was at 20, now splits the difference at 32. I'm going to trust Linda Rice to be picking the right spot for this one. There are races down the page, number-wise, that are good enough to be very, very competitive in here. So I kind of liked the last race. It was a turf to dirt move, but again, it was against a little bit lesser. The number was okay compared to this bunch. I'd like to see going ahead a few slots. I'm trying to indicate I'm not quite sure what exactly we're going to get from this one this afternoon. I'm tilting towards a better performance. I'm not sure all of that said, the 12-1 morning line kind of mitigates any question marks. If we hold up at a decent price, I think this horse is very playable. Hammer and Hammer in the third spot. Jose Ortiz on board for Gustavo Rodriguez off a couple of wins most recently, both against a little bit better. 12-5, 2 starts back, doubled the price last time to 25, but did it in both of those. That says, I don't think this 32, particularly looking at the complexion of this field, I don't think this move today is going to be a real obstacle either. So in the 7th at Aqueduct, 9, 4, 7, and 8. 8th race today down at the Big A is the feature race, the Garland of Roses. $100,000 up for grabs as the Fillies and Mares will travel 3/4 of a mile. For me in the 8th, 2, 7, 6, and 5. I have Glass Ceiling on top. Ran a close-up second last time to Lady Rocket. Lady Rocket subsequently wins the Gopher Wand with a 106 buyer, so I just think this horse was absolutely flattered by that. That was 7 furlongs, cut back to 6 at 6.5, 2 starts back, won very convincingly. Just seems like a horse in really good form. Again, flattered by the horse that was just a nip ahead last time. Glass Ceiling on top for me. Song River in the second spot. Comes up a decent try at a good try, a win at Churchill last time. I'm saying decent. I may be qualifying that a little bit on the numbers compared to the top pick, but compared to the rest of this field, again, a couple of wins, a couple of good numbers compared to the ones that the rest of the field are showing past Glass Ceiling. So I think Song River is competitive in here, certainly in an underneath spot. Sadie Lady hasn't been seen since Saratoga. Does have plenty of early speed, but maybe more importantly, a little horse for a course kind of an angle. 8 starts here at Aqueduct, 5 wins. That said, 5 wins, no seconds, no thirds. So maybe it's the kind of situation where it's an all or nothing with Sadie Lady. She's either going to upset or not show anything. But I think, again, with the record here, very playable. Chad Brown and Juddmonte have Starfront. I put that one down in the 4th spot. The career debut was really good in October of last year, 2020. The 2 follow-ups this year have not been as good, so I couldn't pull the trigger. But in the 4th career start, the 3rd start back off a layoff, and given what we saw in the career debut, if this one floated up to be a price, I wouldn't argue anyone off of Starfront either. But for me, it probably goes through Glass Ceiling in the 8th at Aqueduct, 2, 7, 6, and 5. Race number 9 at Aqueduct today. It is a conditional claimer, 6 furlongs. I have it 14, 12, 2, and 3. I went out to Donnybrook. Girl steps out of some allowance company out of town to move into this conditional claiming company. The last race was a little bit of a dud, so that leaves you kind of wondering, a dud and a drop. But again, it's one race. I'll draw a line and hope we bounce back to a better performance on the class move. That would make this one very tough. In the 2nd slot, similar scenario. Charlotte Webley tossed in a dud last time. The races just before were pretty good. Some of those, though were on the turf, but there are dirt races underneath that are good enough. So again, like the top pick, I'm going to hope that last one was an aberration. And then Bella Principessa in the 3rd slot. Another one making a turf to dirt move. But again, there's some dirt races underneath that are good enough to think this one could be a player for Rudy Rodriguez. And also the class drop may help mitigate the surface switch a little bit. In the 9th and final at Aqueduct, 14, 12, 2, and 3. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of the Handicappers Report. Do let me remind you, however, that it's a Fan Appreciation Day today down at the Rivers Casino branch in Schenectady. Swing by, vouchers, programs, giveaway items, $100 contest. That all happens down in Schenectady at our Rivers Casino branch. Fan Appreciation event down there. Online, there's a $100 knockout challenge. You can go to the website to participate in that, capitalotb.com. And finally, tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook, Football Sunday, all the football action, all the racing action as well. every Sunday here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for the Handicappers Report, but that just means coming up shortly, it's Racing Across America. Again, Nancy Holthus from Oaklawn will join us. Dick Powell will take a look at the big races in Hong Kong late tonight. We'll give you some ideas. Oaklawn and Hong Kong coming up shortly, so stay tuned. Wrapping it up for the Handicappers Report. Back in a few for Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.